All right, we're back live at the Kennedy Space Center, and you're up in the white room, as they call it, which is the gangway which leads to the shuttle entrance, which is now being sealed shut. Dave Wolf, this is an important procedure. I recall a mission not too long ago where they had some difficulty with the seal here. It's very important that this be leak-checked and properly fitted onto its where it belongs before anybody blasts off, right?
That's right. It's critical, and now that the hatch is closed, the ground crew that we see there will be installing a fitting to pump the pressure up in the vehicle. All the vent valves will be closed during this check, and we'll do a leak check and look at make sure that pressure is held by the vehicle. When it's declared successful, then they'll finish closing out this white room and leave the area.
Can you identify any of these people here?
Those are people I've worked with for a number of years on various missions, and they're the most talented workforce in the world, the people at Kennedy Space Center.
You have utter confidence. I guess you have to have a lot of confidence in the people who are preparing such a complex aircraft.
That's right. You can't pre-flight your own airplane in this case. You're trusting the work of thousands of people. A space station will be the same way. And it's just a wonderful team. It's really brings out the best in a lot of people.
Dave Wolf, I'm curious. This question is the question you probably answer quite often, but I'll ask it anyway. When you're at this point, and that hatch seals shut, and you're in your suit, and you're basically the only communication you have is via radio. You're kind of shut off from the world. Is it? Are there moments when it is scary?
You know, scary isn't what I felt. There's a certain calmness and peacefulness. You've trained for years for these missions, and it's time to go do it. You've got on your mind what you're about to do. It's a very busy set of activities. As soon as you obtain orbit, 0 to 18,000 miles an hour in 8.5 minutes, or a little shy of 18,000. It's a spectacular ride. You're hoping everything goes right, but it's more of a hope and a calmness and anticipation.
You know, and I think it's important to point out here that really what astronauts are thinking about probably is really the minutia of their jobs right now. In other words, what do I do if, when, right?
Well, they've practiced this sequence, this ascent sequence, many hundreds of times. It's almost automatic for most situations, but you're wondering, will there be a situation we have not anticipated, that we have not practiced for? And that's a hard situation to run over in your head because you don't know what it is. If we'd thought about it, we'd have practiced.
Exactly. Now, it looks like the gentleman right by the door there has what appears to be some sort of pressure gauge, and I assume that's what checks the leaks.
That's right. There's gauges inside the orbiter. There's telemetry to the control center, and there's a fitting that he will actually pump up the pressure through.
It's probably worth pointing out here, too, that in some of the worst-case scenarios, that hatch is designed to blow out, and out would extend a 10-foot-long pole. And the astronauts in a situation where multiple engine loss, for example, might actually have to bail out. Why don't you walk us through the procedures you have to go through on getting out of an orbiter, extending that pole, and bailing out? How would that work?
That's right. Well, the first thing is the vehicle must be within parameters where successful bailout can occur, and that is some sort of controlled gliding flight. And therefore, on ascent, you have to start the return home at least. If you're not going to make your landing site, if you're going to go long, or if you're going to go short, or in the ocean, then we like to get down to around 20,000 feet, although the system is capable up to 100,000 feet for a bailout, since the astronauts are wearing pressure suits. The MS-3, sitting in that seat, will pull the set of handles that blows the hatch. Before that, the pressure will be equalized by the commander controlling the vent valves. The system will be put on an attitude hold, a kind of an autopilot, to get ready for all 7 crew members to take their turns coming out. You'll clip on a fitting to this pole, and this pole makes sure that at these high speeds you don't come back and hit the tail of the orbiter. It pulls you down below the tail of the orbiter. Each one diving out in sequence, hopefully very quickly. And there should be time. In the case of a water ditch, in all cases, water flotation equipment comes out with you, raft, life preserver.
All right, I gotta interrupt that for just a moment. The President of the United States has arrived. Let's look at some pictures here. There he is, Patrick Air Force Base, about 10 miles due south of where we are now, walking off of Air Force One. Dave, the last time a president was here, Apollo 12, I asked Ellen Bean about this earlier. They launched into a thunderstorm. And, of course, many have suggested over the years that the pressure of having the president here somehow skewed the decision. What do folks at NASA think of that?
Well, I know I can only speak for NASA today. We have safety foremost in our mind. We have strict flight rules for these conditions. We have a set of what are called field mills operating right now that look at the static electricity potential in the air, and if this exceeds a certain level, we do not launch. And we would not waive that except if there was a very good reason.
A moment ago, you mentioned that you practice for every imagined contingency. What you're concerned about is the unimagined contingency that you haven't practiced for. And I was reminded of years ago in the first shuttle simulator at Houston, and I was in the simulator with John Young, and he was showing me how the thing would work, and we made a landing. And just as we made the landing, Mission Control came in and said, John, we have an indication of a fire in here. And John turned to me and said, not on the speaker back to Mission Control, he said, what in the world do they want to practice that for now? They know we're just up here having a little fun. We haven't practiced a fire in the rollout. What a fire? I don't have any books here for anything. And they said, John, please, we have an indicated fire in here. He said, I know, I'm working on the problem. And he said, oh, heck, not in the shuttle, in the building here. Get the devil out of there.
Oh, that's not funny, but it can cause confusion, can it? What's real and what's simulated?
Yeah.
Let's talk a moment about the crew. There are 6 other astronauts on board here. At times, we perhaps forget that.